Thank you for having me here today. I'm here to talk about product agility and flexible monetization solutions for the IoT. So Flexera, like many companies, has been in a transformation. For those of you that don't know Flexera, we've been at the forefront of licensing and monetization for software for the best part of 30 years. And actually, as we have developed to offer new solutions for what we used to call intelligent device manufacturers, the technology world has been in a transformation itself. The value has been migrating from physical products to the mixture of kind of hardware plus digital assets plus monetizing data and all these good things. And we've been kind of maturing alongside this to offer solutions to help our customers to monetize these things more effectively. But there is problems or challenges that come with this transformation. There are high security requirements. There is complexity, the broad cross-section of deployments that are out there, the combination, the hybrid of cloud, of on-premise software, of managing devices and so on. And then with the new business models that are, at the forefront, for instance, the subscription economy and the consumption economy, it's maintaining those close customer-centric relationships. So the challenge for us is to help our customers, to help you, to monetize more effectively. And this could be monetizing through new revenue streams, through new business models, such as taking advantage of this wave of subscriptions and consumption, and really helping to do all of these with efficient operations. So our vision has kind of broadened. We used to, as I mentioned, be a company all about helping you to deliver secure products based around secure licensing, secure monetization, and that was great. But what we've done now is we have matured our business. So we are looking to offer the ability to help you to manage digital products, to monetize as effectively devices and software, and to offer control as to how you can, for instance, update devices and software equally as well. And then finally, I was talking about the subscription economy, helping you to stay close and to manage your customers too. We're at the kind of the heart of this through what we're doing with communicating with customers, with their assets, with software, with mobile applications. We get a whole load of data into our system. And so the next phase in our journey is really to be able to collect this data, to monitor it, to analyze it, and realize the value for you, our customers, more effectively. And ultimately, at the end of this, to really drive this new wave of monetization that's built not just on traditional licensing, but ever more so on new business models, on the value of the data, and combining all of that with efficient operations. We've had a lot of experience. We've worked heavily across a range of industries, from telecommunications to industrial automation, medical and healthcare, and many others actually. And the good thing from my perspective is that the challenges appear to be the same across many of these industries. A typical engagement that I was involved with was a company in Scandinavia who used to sell tooling for the automotive manufacturing environment. And they produced pretty much hardware-based solutions, controllers and tools. They didn't monetize any software. And so the engagement has really been to help them to drive new revenue streams through digital business offerings. So having kind of maybe much cheaper entry point with their hardware solutions, and then monetizing the real key features and functions that are used during manufacturing to deliver value, maybe to do things faster, to do things better, and so on. So that's kind of a typical example of what I'm talking about. So the first phase in our vision is helping our customers to deliver secure products. I mentioned the licensing piece, which has been there for a long time. But we think about our life cycle and security at every stage in that life cycle. So the first part of this is during product development. It could be products with embedded software. It could be cloud software. It could be on-premise software, mobile software. And the first thing I would highlight is that the use of open source software in more products than you could probably imagine. There are compliance problems associated with some, not all open source. Of course, there's many uses of it, which is fine. But one of my bosses used to say, once you get to the point of releasing a product into the field, the problems associated with making changes at that stage are exponentially worse than picking it up early. So kind of the first kind of tip, if I had one, would be to understand these issues associated with compliance as early as possible. And so helping to manage your software assets and determine your open source is definitely something which we like to help with. The next thing is that when you're actually building and packaging your software is to make sure it's tamper resistant, that if you're looking to use digital monetization, to do this through licensing via what could be a variety of models, that it's not easy for your end customers to go in and to actually bypass the checks. So tamper resistance is a crucial part of the development process and making sure that the software assets are secure. Then there's the part of actually delivering and controlling the delivery of the software. I visited a company in Switzerland about, 12, 18 months ago. And actually they couldn't charge any maintenance or support revenues associated with their software on the basis that actually, as soon as they released a new version, the whole of their customer base got it, because basically it was just put out there, anyone could download it. And unless you can control the delivery to your customers, making sure customers get what they're entitled to, then you're going to have these kind of issues. So it's very important to control the security around who gets access to the software. And once it's out there, the piece we've been doing, for such a long time, making sure software is activated and, that ultimately you can derive the value from your products and not just give them away, as so many companies still do. Detecting tampering and detecting cloning once software is out in the field is important so that you can go back to your customers and say, for instance, accidental cloning is something that happens, but to have the power to go back and say, sorry, did you realize that you'd accidentally cloned and were running double the amount of instances of our software as you're entitled to is very powerful. And then you get back to how you update and how you keep software up to date in the field. So being able to patch vulnerabilities and to ensure that software is at the right version for the right customers. So we think about this security lifecycle, and our vision is that we get ever better at helping our customers to maintain this. Referring back to open source, I was kind of astonished when one of my colleagues showed me this graphic that 90% of the market is actually using open source software in their products. And he had another graphic which showed how many don't actually realize it, which was a pretty high number as well. So the first question would be, are you aware of your open source obligations? So for instance, it could be that if you use a certain library or even one line of code, that you have to disclose your entire software stack onto the internet, which is not great. And as well as that, are you aware of the vulnerabilities in the software that you may be using as a company or packaging in with your products? And again, this is something where many folks are not aware of the vulnerabilities in the software they're using and delivering. So stage 2 of our vision is how we manage devices, software, and enable you to manage your customers. So I think the first thing here is that many companies are early on the journey of how they're going to monetize in this new world. And having a centralized monetization platform is really part of the process of being efficient and ensuring that you have a consistent customer experience. There are many deployment scenarios. For instance, there could be some of your products which are connected. We have customers that do things like home gateways. And for them, they may license products at the point of manufacture or even upgrade them in the field. And in fact, for some of these products, they're not just licensing kind of the gateway point, they're actually trying to then drive new business models from the assets, the home controllers that they're actually there to enable and disable. There are other worlds where not everything is connected. I mentioned the tooling company before. They sit behind a manufacturing firewall, and actually the challenges are different there. So they deploy a license server, and then through the offline periods in the factory, they balance the expensive features and functions across the tooling in the factory. It gives them a ton of agility that they never had before. And in fact, in the days before they had this opportunity to rebalance high features and functions using digital assets, they actually had to climb ladders, take down controllers and tooling, and move it all around the factory. So there's huge operational efficiencies rather to be had from this. And then there is the new subscription world, the subscribers. So the world is very much wanting not just to license by the controllers, the PCs that software is running on, but by the users, and especially for cloud software, but also mobile software and so on. And bringing this all under a single umbrella is so important. I went to a company in LA last week, and they were a medical company telling me about all the different things that they were doing in silos, which, as a developer is great, but actually, the efficiencies that they could have, even if they could bring it together and offer, their solutions out across the business would be, multiple benefits. So the most common solution is to differentiate hardware products through software, through managing the digital side of the product. So on the left-hand side, you see just what represents, multiple product configurations in the hardware. And so kind of the first stage in the journey is for a lot of hardware companies, IoT companies who produce devices to manufacture many less configurations of their products. So maybe not one, but at least many less. And then to enable the high-value features and functions using feature management or licensing, as we call it. This brings huge benefits. Firstly, the whole supply chain doesn't have to maintain stock of all the different units, and the producer doesn't have to build them all. During the manufacturing process, you can manage the digital assets by applying licensing, feature management at the point of the production, but equally, this provides the opportunity to configure when it's in the field, and then to drive upsell and cross-sell opportunities for sales as well. So the idea that, kind of one size fits all, just produce a piece of hardware and sell it, really we're seeing that as becoming a thing of the past. So speed and agility is key for an IoT software business. And I was talking on a webinar yesterday. The world is such an impatient kind of place. They expect, when they purchase something for it to be activated straight away. I was talking to one of my colleagues about Tesla, who responded to the storms on the coast in the US by extending the range of cars just so that their customers could get additional benefits. I mean, these things require agility. They require, real-time almost responses to customers. And actually, this applies for all deployment models. It applies to SaaS applications. If somebody signs up for a new service, they expect it to be available. If somebody buys additional licenses for on-premise software, they want it to be available there and then so that they can have new users online. And IoT, I mentioned the factory that wanted to rebalance licenses during the downtime in production. They want this to take immediate effect so that the factory can be back up and running as soon as possible. But it's not just deployment scenarios and whether it's connected or disconnected, it's the business model. So a good centralized software monetization solution should unlock the opportunity not only to support a broad cross-section of deployment models, but to be flexible in how you deploy business models as well. So, for instance, there could be one customer that wants to buy a traditional perpetual, but with exactly the same physical product and software, you enable that to function on a subscription basis, maybe with usage overages for another customer. this then leads into how do you manage those new business models, those subscriptions, those usage models. And our focus, firstly, with respect to how we move to the next phase of leveraging data to benefit producers and end customers, is something we call the customer growth module. This enables our customers to track the adoption of their digital products by their end customers, to use this data across multiple functions in the business. I'm going to talk a bit more about that in a minute, and ultimately to stay close to the customers and to grow them. So it leads nicely into what do we do with the data? So how do you monitor, monetize, and analyze the data? So actually, the thing with the new kind of economy, the subscription economy, is you absolutely need to know who is using what and how much, and this needs to be both available to you 24/7, but also your customers. The days of producing products where as a producer you just determine which nice features and functions should be there for your end customers, are kind of becoming a thing of the past. They want to be right at the front and center of what you're developing, and for this you really need to have the insight about, firstly, what are the vulnerabilities I might be dealing with in my products. You need to be able to manage that. And then there's all the information about what the customer has bought. So it could be the software versions, it could be the digital features, it could be the customer's entitlements. And then through the kind of management process is, if you're going to be updating software for your customers, is knowing exactly who has which software, which versions are they entitled to. Is there a case where a customer is no longer paying their maintenance, so their entitlements are no longer active, and when they come to pick up the latest software update, you say, well, actually, you're not entitled to that now, but actually, please come and talk to us because we'd love to bring you back online, and that opens all kinds of upsell and cross-sell opportunities going forward, and it provides for a much better customer experience as well, because they always know what they've got, where it is, and what they're using. So the data really is at the heart of driving the software business, and we're fortunate that we have so much of it. We have information about the software people are using, the versions of licenses that they're using, where it's deployed, which devices have it, which updates have been applied, which updates are available, and so on and so on. And all in a single system. So, really, I truly believe that we are maturing to offer this holistic IoT platform because we have such a ton of value. And we're trying to enable our customers, your customers, and us to leverage this data and insight. So, for instance, to understand customer assets and entitlements. So, instantaneously, you know who should have what. So, it could be that your operations team want to know a customer, which product should they have, are they live, and are they using it? Then there's data that's associated with business models. So really capturing actual usage during real time and using this as a basis for billing. It might be partially usage models, and some companies are moving to kind of full usage models as well. Then there's product insight. So really being able to capture data about how products are being used in the field. Now, this is of huge value for product management. Me in product management, I know this. Being able to know which features and functions your customers are using, what the take-up is, what the adoption is. Have I packaged my products correctly, or actually is the adoption very bad, in which case maybe there's a problem about how you're packaging things and the price point that you're positioning your features at. It's also hugely valuable for things like using data for predictive maintenance and driving service offerings. And we're trying to find the right point in the market. We believe, it's about offering value associated with what we do, which is, to drive monetization and to make data available to our customers, where maybe it's to do with product instrumentation, and that they can then take that away, integrate it into other analytics platforms and drive value that way. And really, I'd say the final thing is having full install-based transparency. Some markets that are very prominent for us, such as healthcare, really require that when the FDA come knocking, whoever it might be, and say, we want to track, we want to make sure not only that your customers have what they've purchased, but they've got the right revisions of hardware, of software, of combinations of all these things. So we're trying to really enable that transparency and visibility to our customers. I think everyone in here will know that the subscription economy has exploded. We're almost at the point where the value of the software that's sold through subscriptions will cross over and overtake the value of licenses and maintenance. And really, it's all about transparency. This new world of dealing with the customer-centric way that the subscription economy is working requires suppliers to really understand their customers, to know, are they getting value? Are my renewals at risk? Renewals, a high renewal rate really is core to having a successful subscription model. And then from a buyer's perspective, they want to know, are they using the software? Because ultimately they don't want to keep paying the subscription if it's not been adopted. And when's our renewal due? So the key word up here is personas. There are a range of personas across your business that care about this data. There is those that monitor consumption data to see whether customers are achieving success, maybe your customer success teams, really so that they can proactively reach out to customers where the adoption is poor, and where the adoption is strong, maybe that represents the opportunity for a success story. Really supporting the customer journey, maybe the ops team, checking that software has been up and running, the customer is happy, they're using it. So that is very important for bringing the customer up during this onboarding phase. Then there is analyzing the data to verify the account health. Are they a healthy customer, or is there a renewal risk? And we do this by looking at the adoption rates of the software. That's our unique value proposition here, because we actually can do this for all software. It could be for cloud software, for mobile software, for on-premise software, for devices, and so on. So these adoption rates are linked to the timeline in the subscription lifecycle to identify, is there a renewal risk? Do we need to go in there and make sure that the customer is understanding what they've got and are able to leverage the benefits? And for sales, really, and renewals, to really streamline the process of the renewals revenues, which we know as a business so important with ever more customers on a subscription business model, and sales being able to say, right, going to sell to a customer who is literally only using 10% of their current assets may be a bad use of their time. Going to a customer that's using 99% of their software assets, is probably a good use of time, because they really understand the value of your products. They're probably going to be open to buy more and potentially to cross-sell as well. And really everyone having transparency, as I've mentioned. So I think the summary is, get ready to monetize in new ways. For sure, anyone that's giving away software for free, it's time to realize the value of that software. Think about security as a life cycle event, and look to develop secure products, to deploy secure products, to update and monetize in a secure way. Use monetization as the method to monetize your digital products, offering the right products at the right price points. And really start to profit from the subscription economy and capture those recurring revenues by staying nice and close to your customers. And finally, I know this is not always easy to say to companies who don't consider themselves a software company, but these business models have been in the software industry for a long time, so you need to start thinking and acting like software companies. So that was it. Thanks for listening.